Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to Post Cologne. Today we're going to be unboxing 3 new Paris Corner fragrances that I just got in a recent haul, including Emir's Celestial. So let's jump into it. Alright, so it is time for some unboxings and first impressions of 3 new Paris Corner fragrances that I got in a recent haul. I've got a whole bunch of fragrances on Boxing Day. Your boy Post went a little bit crazy. I got like 12, 13 different fragrances on Boxing Day. I got a bunch of Lattafas, I got a bunch of Rasacis. I've already done some unboxing videos. I'll have links down in the description if you want to check those ones out as well. But this one is a Paris Corner dedicated one. I got 3 new Paris Corners. I got them all from Fragrance Spy. I have links down in the description to all these fragrances if any of them sound like something you'd be into. I also have a coupon code to save yourself $5 off your first purchase at Fragrance Spy if you decide you want to shop with them. So let's quit screwing around. Let's get into these Paris Corners. All right, so first up from the Paris Corner Emir series, we have Fire Your Desire. Now I scooped this bad boy up for $26, and this is supposed to be kind of a clone inspired by dupe of By Kilian's Angel Share. I do not own By Kilian's Angel Share, but I do own Lattafa's Hamra, so I am very curious as to like how this might compare to Hamra, because Hamra is just like hype mode. Everybody who's loving Hamra, including myself. I really like Hamra. So I'm curious if this is like in the same neighborhood, if this is better, if Hamra's better. So we're gonna find out here. Let's quit screwing around. Let's quit talking about it. Let's bust into this. All right, so there we have the presentation cylinder box of Emir's Fire Your Desire. It is a metal tin. It does have this kind of cardboard paper wrap around it, but has some nice gold lettering on it. It is, you know, a little bit on the fancy side, so not too bad. All the necessaries on the back, name of the fragrance on the front, and it does slide off like a so. It is a little flimsy, so like you wouldn't want to crush that with your hand too much because you would dent it. And then we have our fragrance bottle sitting in here like a so. I've already done a review of, what the hell was it called? You're Drugged. I did a review of You're Drugged. I'll leave a link down in the description if you're curious about that one. But Fire Your Desire, same style of bottle. It's got this kind of metallic tassel that's on the side here. Nice, thick, heavy bottle. Metal plate on the front with the name of the fragrance. Cap on this is a nice heavy metal, and it does have like a nice little kind of added pattern on top. So presentation on these are pretty nice, especially for the price point, $26. I'm quite impressed from the box to the bottle. But what does this smell like? I forgot to test the atomizer in the presentation part, so we're gonna do that right now. Yeah, bear with me, folks. Really fat sprays, but it doesn't go very far. Well, it goes in a decent amount, but atomizer's average, nothing to write home about. Oh yeah, I'm picking that kind of Hamra style of fragrance in the air already. So let's get this on paper, see what we're dealing with. Ooh, this is quite sweet, quite nice already. So right out the jump, you're getting some nice vanilla tonka. You're getting a little bit of warm spice cinnamon that's working in there. You're getting that kind of praline note. And this does have a little bit more of a boozy accord than Hamra. I find Hamra has a touch of booziness, but it doesn't have a lot of booziness, which apparently Angel Share does have a nice level of booziness to it. This one does have a little bit more booziness to it with that cognac note than Hamra does. Very sweet, very warm, spicy. The vanilla's coming across really, really nice. I really like the cinnamon that's in here, that praline. Yeah, the cognac note does stand out. It's not like super forward. It's not like an overly boozy fragrance, but it is there mixing with that kind of warm cinnamon as well as those kind of sweet notes from the praline, from the tonka, from the vanilla. And it's all blended together quite nice, actually. This is very enjoyable. As this is developing, there's a little bit of woods that are starting to kind of creep up in the background here, but for the most part, this is a very sweet style of fragrance, like I mentioned, with that vanilla, that praline, that warm spice that's working in with the cinnamon, and it's mixing with that cognac very nice. This is a very pleasant fragrance, very warm, inviting, cozy style of fragrance so far in the opening. Let's give this a few minutes, get to the dry down, see what we're dealing with here, but so far, very pleasant, very cozy, sexy style of fragrance. I am enjoying this. All right, so we are back with the dry down of Emir's Fire Your Desire. It's been about an hour, so I've let this kind of settle down, kind of move into its own, if you will. And this is a really lovely fragrance. The sweetness in this is still obviously there. It's that vanilla, there's the tonka, there's that praline that's mixed in there. That cognac booziness has really kind of died down, settled into the backgrounds. Like it's not really a boozy style of fragrance at this point. But you really do get that kind of very soft, sensual style of sweetness that's coming through. That praline note is in there, and it's dancing quite nicely with that vanilla and that tonka. There's a little bit of sandalwood that kind of comes through, so you get that kind of little bit of kind of creaminess that's added to it, a little bit of kind of the woody base that's in there, and you still get that kind of warm spice cinnamon that's in there, kind of intermingling and dancing around with all the rest of the notes. So it's a very lovely fragrance. I am quite enjoying this one. I think it's very good. Has that quality, has that smoothness. There is a richness to this. Now I know in the comment section already, people are going to be asking how this compares to Hamra, which one I would prefer. I am still going to say that I would prefer Hamra over this, even though I think this is a very good fragrance. I'm not disappointed that I have this in my collection. I just find Hamra has like a better scent profile. There's like the praline that comes through in Hamra a lot more that I do enjoy. It has just a little bit more of a richness in terms of the sweetness than Fire Your Desire does, even though this does have that kind of same sort of rich sweetness to it. I just find Hamra comes across a little bit more enjoyable to me and a little bit more, I don't know, higher quality in that sense, or just maybe just richer, more opulent in that sense. But this is a very good fragrance, and for the $26, I definitely think this was a good pickup for me. I am not disappointed with this whatsoever. I think Paris Corner did a fantastic job with this one. So far, really pleased with this one. That's Paris Corner's Emir Fire Your Desire. All right, up next we got another one from the Shades of Dark series, and it's Emir's When the Soul Gets High. Now this one ran me about $29, $30 on Fragrance Spy, and this is supposed to be a dupe clone inspired by Kilian's Back to Black. I did check the notes on the Paris Corner website as well as Fragrantica's Back to Black, and like the notes, first of all, there's like a laundry list of notes. I'm not even gonna try and list off every single note, but they are pretty, like they do overlap pretty much the same. So they are not trying to hide what they're trying to do here. So I don't have Back to Black. I can't tell you if this is a good clone of it or not. So we're gonna have to deal with this as a standalone fragrance. So let's jump in and see what we're dealing with. All right, there we go. There's the presentation. Same as the Fire Your Desire, as well as the You're Drugged. Metal tin, paper cover. It is kind of a nice black on it with that gold writing. So again, I like these presentations in these kind of like metal canisters or whatever. Slides off like so. Ooh, and this is a tight fit, first of all. But it is a nice kind of matte black style of bottle. The other bottles are all clear bottles, whereas this one is a nice matte black. So it's got kind of a dark, mysterious sort of vibe, but it's, you know, got the nipple tassel like the other ones have. Same style of cap. Yep, same heavy metal cap to it. And the atomizer on this one, I'm assuming it's gonna be the same, but we don't know. This is a first impression. About the same kind of fat sprays, decent distance. Well, that third one went pretty far. So overall, again, presentation pretty nice. Ooh, I'm smelling that in the air already. So what does this smell like? I can smell it in the air already. This is an interesting fragrance so far. There's a lot going on in the air right now. Let's see what we got on paper here. The opening of this, I'm not gonna lie, this is a little on the synthetic side. Like, it's not terrible, but it is like not a natural fragrance by any means. It's not, again, it's not bad, but it's not great. Very interesting. So there is a lot going on in here, and what I'm getting most right now is this honey note. It's mixed with some kind of fruitiness, so like some berry style of note. There is kind of like an earthiness to it, like a little bit of like a tobacco coming through, but it's mostly this kind of synthetic style of honey mixed with these kind of fruit notes, along with this kind of this tobacco style of note. This is very interesting. Now this is opening. This is about 2-3 minutes into the initial spray, and the magic of editing, I'm making this not be a 20-minute me smelling paper here. But it's got this kind of floral note coming through a little bit more. It's like a chamomile tea mixed with some other earthy notes, along with those fruit notes, with that honey, with that little bit of tobacco. This is a very complex fragrance. There's like a ton of things going on here. Like, my brain doesn't know where to focus in on because there's so many different scent profiles trying to work together right now. Definitely some floral notes working in there. It's got a little bit of an aromatic nature to it. It does have that kind of floral sweetness to it, not in a flowery sort of way. And there's a little bit of earthiness that's also working in there, along with some spices. There's a lot going on in this fragrance. I don't, like, my brain doesn't know how to handle this, to be honest. All right, this is starting to settle down a little bit more. Very nice kind of sweetness that's coming through. That synthetic nature has kind of dropped down a little bit. It's starting to come together a little bit more. Doesn't have the kind of confused sort of opening. That opening was very confusing for me, but now it's starting to settle down, have that nice combination of those different sweet notes. So like there's a little bit of vanilla coming through, there's those sweet berry kind of notes coming through, maybe even like a little bit of a cherry note. Mixing with those florals, it has that tobacco note is starting to punch through a little bit more. And it has that honey note, the honey note is kind of standing out more than anything, but it's kind of adding like, kind of coating everything, if that makes any sort of sense. This is nice, it's very strong too, I might add. Like this is like, I'm putting my nose right up to it, but like, this is pushing off the paper pretty hard. Like this is a very strong fragrance so far. Very, very interesting, very unique. I do like it. I'm not sure if this is a love for me quite yet, but we're gonna have to wait for the dry down, see how things unfold here. But so far, this is very, very interesting, very interesting. All right, so we are back with the dry down of Paris Corner's Emir When the Soul Gets High. It's been just over an hour, and let this kind of settle down, do its own thing. And this has changed quite a bit from the initial opening. This is coming across a lot more floral than it was in the opening. In the opening, it was a lot of that fruitiness that was coming through, a lot of that sweetness from the fruit. They had that kind of tobacco note going on, mixing with that honey. Now what I'm getting is a lot of that honey still, but I'm getting like a little bit of saffron coming through and some like earthy kind of green style of florals with that kind of floral sweetness. A little bit more on the flowery side now. At the beginning, it was more kind of that floral sweetness, but now this has got that floral sweetness with that sort of floral vibe going on to it. But there still is a lot going on with this one. There's like a whole mishmash of notes. It still has that kind of like chamomile tea sort of vibe going on to it. But again, like a bouquet of different florals mixed in there. It definitely has that fruity sweetness in there, but that's kind of kicked to the back, or it's just kind of mixed and blended with that florals a little bit more. So it is a very interesting fragrance. It does still have that kind of synthetic style of vibe to it though. This is an okay fragrance. I don't love this one. This one almost leans a little bit too on the feminine side for me, perhaps. It is a strong fragrance. I think this is gonna perform very well. So I'm gonna have to get this on my skin. I'm gonna give this a few wearings, see how it mixes with my skin chemistry. Fragrances on paper and in the air are obviously going to be much different than when it actually hits the skin. So I don't wanna write this one off yet. I like to give fragrances at least 3 wearings before I can give it like a real final assessment, whether it's for me or not, and if I'm gonna trade away the bottle or whatever. So I'm gonna give this one a chance. I'm not gonna be a jerk and just write it off because I smelled it on paper once. Gonna have to give it a full wearing. Might do a full review on this. Let me know down in the comments. Do you want to see a full review of this once I give it a few wearings? Comment down below. But for now, it's an okay fragrance. It's maybe a like, definitely not a love, and it is what it is. That's Paris Corner's Emir When the Soul Gets High. All right, last, but certainly not least, this is the one I've been waiting for because I don't know how many of you have been in my comment section anytime I do anything about Paris Corner telling me I need to get this one, I need to check this one out. So I did, I picked it up and we're gonna check it out now. That's Emir's Celestial. Now I also picked this one up for about $29, $30 on Fragrance Buy. So I am eager to try this out because you all have been really recommending this. So let's dig in, see what we got. All right, so there we have the box presentation. This is a huge box, by the way. Like this is, don't let the camera fool you. This, like I have trouble getting this into the frame because this is a very, very big, tall box, but overall pretty nice thick cardboard to it. It does have the name of the fragrance and some nice shimmery gold on the top, all the necessaries on the bottom, and it is a slide style box to it. And look at this majestic falcon, eagle. Comment down below if you know what kind of bird this is sitting in there. Nice heavy bottle. Wow, that's a heavy bottle. Cap on this steals the collar. That annoys me when that happens. I really don't like when that happens. But cap on this is a kind of mid-weight metal. It's not a super heavy metal, but it is a metal cap, so it is very nice. It really bugs me that collar came off, but that's what happens when you do things live here. And the atomizer on this, pretty nice atomizer on this. Nice distribution, shoots off pretty far. But I do have to say that it does annoy me that the collar came off. I'll have to fix that off on the side. But bottle presentation, pretty nice. Box presentation, nothing too special. But what does this smell like? Now again, I sprayed this in the air, so I'm getting a nice sense of what this has already got. It's got like a very like metallic minerally sort of vibe. Like I can feel it in my teeth almost at this moment. So it's It's good. It's like I'm not upset about that, but it does have that kind of metal ting. I can feel it in my mouth just from smelling it. And this is supposed to be a Cologne dupe inspired by of Ganymede. I am not familiar with that fragrance, so I can't tell you if this is a good clone or not, but that's what it's supposed to be a clone of. It even says on Fragrance By. That's what they're trying to do. So not trying to hide what they're doing here. This is also a pretty strong fragrance. I'm not sure it's because it's very fresh. It's got like a very like citrusy style opening right now, along with that kind of mineral note, that metallic kind of nature to it. But it is kind of jumping. It is kind of radiating right now. So it is like a fairly strong fragrance, like right off the jump here. Got a little bit of a woody nature to it. It is kind of a light, soft wood at this moment. There's a little bit of sweetness in here, like a fruity sweetness, floral style sweetness, like kind of like mixed with some green in there. Like, so it's not like an overly like sugary sweet style of fruit yet. It's got some fruitiness to it, but more than kind of an earthy sort of vibe right now. Kind of like a dried fruit. It comes across more of a dried fruit than kind of like a fresh, juicy style of fruit, if that makes any sort of sense. And it is mixing with some style of citrus, kind of like an orangey style of citrus, with those mineral notes, a little bit of woodiness coming through. This is quite nice. I do enjoy this one. It is unique. I don't think I have anything in my collection that smells quite like this. This is very pleasant. It is a little unique. It's got some like complexity to it, but for me, it's a very pleasant fragrance. Like this is kind of, for me, would be an easy to wear fragrance. Definitely has that kind of spring, summer style of vibe. Like this just kind of screams spring to me. It's just got that freshness to it, like a rejuvenating kind of feel to it, kind of that earthy, woody, with like a little bit of kind of like blossoming flowers with that kind of mineral note. The mineral note's interesting. It's not a very strong, like overpowering kind of metallic note, but it is noticeable. Let's skip to the dry down, see how this kind of comes together, how it unfolds, if there's some sort of changes in the dry down. But so far, this is a winner for me. I'm really liking this. I think I already said that a few times, didn't I? All right, so we are back with the dry down of Emir's Celestial. Been just over an hour now since we first had the initial opening, and it gave me time to fix the collar on this thing. So the collar's all fixed. So I know a lot of you were really worried about it. You were praying for post. So appreciate the prayers. Got it fixed. We're in good shape now. This has changed a little bit, but it has maintained that kind of similar scent profile. One thing it has become is a little bit more floral on that side. Lots of woods coming through. Not an overly woody fragrance, but it's just there's more woods than there were at the opening. But it does come across a lot more floral than it was in the initial opening with this one. I said in the beginning, like, I'm surprised I'm enjoying this, and I'm like, I seem like I was hesitant. It's because I've heard comments about this being a little bit of a challenging fragrance and not for everybody, and I was kind of surprised by this because this seems like a little bit more of like kind of an easy to reach for fragrance, to be quite honest. It doesn't seem all that challenging, maybe a tiny bit, but it's not like an Encre Noir or like something that's like very divisive. This is a little safer than some of those other fragrances. Still get a little bit of that fruitiness that's coming through, but in this dry down, I've noticed a little bit more kind of a suede-y, leathery vibe. It is kind of tucked in the background. It is faint. This is not like a leather forward fragrance. It's not like a suede style of fragrance. It has got that woody nature to it and that floral nature to it. So it's got this kind of lightness to it, a little bit of airiness to it, with that kind of like suede saffron wood that kind of just pulls it down just a little bit and kind of rounds things out quite nicely. That kind of metallic mineral accord that was going on in the beginning has dropped quite a bit. I'm not getting nearly as much of that as I did in the initial opening. That has faded into the background a little bit. There is still kind of like a little bit of a sharpness to it, which adds a little bit of character to it, but it isn't like an overly metallic, like I can't feel it in my teeth like I did in the beginning. I think this is a very well-rounded, well-blended fragrance. This is quite enjoyable. I think spring, summertime, this is gonna be absolute fire. I think in the hot heat and kind of like warmer spring evenings, this is gonna be an absolute fire fragrance. So I'm really enjoying this one. I think this is definitely a great pickup for me. This doesn't smell like any of the other fragrances I have in my collection, so I am quite pleased. I like having a nice little variety of fragrances. So Paris Corner's Emir Celestial, this was a win for me. So really enjoying this one. Definitely gonna do a full review of this one once I get it on skin and give it a full wearing, but so far, really impressed. That's Paris Corner's Emir Celestial. So there you have it. That's my first impressions of 3 new Paris Corner fragrances that I recently got in a haul. And I want to hear from you guys. What are some Paris Corner fragrances that I should be checking out? I'm really starting to get into this house. They have some really good ones out there. I've only been like on the fence about a couple of them so far, but I am thoroughly impressed with Paris Corner, and I want to hear more from you guys. What are some ones that I'm missing out on that I should be trying? Comment down below. Love hearing your recommendations. Love getting your guys' different opinions. Appreciate you. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.